Yes.
Oh, virtual.
Mayor, how are you? Have you done this before?
Yes.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Do a.
Excuse me, leave it blank. I'm not on there.
I'm happy to leave a blank if that's
Probably give me one made. I've been doing more of these.
right.
Said he was watching online.
Question today, I was tabling it, I will let you know. Coming.
While we're doing everything.
Yeah, Sergeant. How are you? Good to see you. Freezing in there.
Yes, you pulled.
You have another update?
We made things out. I think we do was a question on the last.
We probably have that.
So if you just,
Thank you for coming.
you guys.
It doesn't fit. It's okay. It's like mine. It's too big.
Thank you, sir.
Did you intentionally give me two of these?
He said to leave his blank. Crazy
He
not
won't be here tonight. No.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
Why?
I do.
Good. All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is December 4th, 2024. It's 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Cooper. Or Mrs. Cooper, sorry.
Mr. Cooper?
Mr. Neff is absent and Mr. Capel is absent. 5 present, we have quorum.
All right, great. We're going to open up the meeting with a public hearing. This is related to a rezoning of Woodland Lake Investors LLC. And the way the process is going to work tonight is initially, we do have a court stenographer here with us this evening virtually. I'm going to hand it to our law director. Hello, Sarah. Mr. Whitney is going to introduce exhibits and lay out some of the ground rules related to the public hearing. And I assume you will also read your rights is not the right terminology.
I will swear them in.
You will swear them in. Thank you. Then we'll go to the applicant for an applicant presentation. We will open it up to any public comment. And if council has any questions or comments. After all of that is said and done, we will close the public hearing. And the last item I wanted to mention, just for anybody who's here for this particular issue, this rezoning is also scheduled for a first reading this evening as well, and that is ordinance number 2024.31. That will happen later in the meeting, probably in about half an hour. This first reading. With that said, I'll hand it to Mr. Whitney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. My name is Vic Whitney. I'm legal counsel to Sunbury Council here this evening. As the mayor indicated, the first item on the agenda is a rezoning application, public hearing on the rezoning application of Woodland Lake Investors LLC. As the mayor indicated, this is a public hearing. There is a stenographer who's with us virtually tonight who's taking down everything that's being said. So in a moment, anyone who believes that they may wish to offer comment on this rezoning application will have you stand, raise your right hand, and I will swear you in. If you choose that you do not want to offer comment, that's fine. By being sworn in does not obligate you to provide comment. But if you are going to comment, we do need you sworn in. So we ask that everybody rises at the same time so we can get that done for everybody right at the beginning. When I turn it back over to the mayor, he will then in turn call the applicant and anyone else who wishes to offer comments up to the lectern. Please, when you first approach the lectern, state your name. As you see, there's a microphone, so try to speak into the microphone loudly and clearly and state your name and your address. That way, if there's any reason we need to get a hold of you after tonight's hearing, we know who you are, we know how to get a hold of you. Direct all your comments to council. They may or may not have questions or comments for you. Again, because we do have a stenographer, if they do have a question or comment for you, please let them get out their entire comments. We're not talking over each other. It's impossible for the stenographer to take down two people speaking at the same time. And then at that point, once their comment's done, feel free to, of course, respond back to them or offer whatever comment you have to them. So I think that's the reading of your rights part of this. So at this point, anyone who thinks that they may wish to offer comment on this rezoning application, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You do. With that, Mr. Mayor, are we ready with the exhibit?
Yeah.
You know what, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
why don't we go ahead and start? I'm still in the process of assembling the exhibits with Mr. Hennessy. We will get that done. So before we close the public hearing, you kick it back over to me. I will then read into the record the exhibits that we have here tonight.
Great, thank you. All right, with that said, I'd like to invite the applicant up to the lectern to present information to council. Mr. Wilcox. Would you mind verifying the microphone is on? I believe there should be a light. I think we're off.
Yeah, can you hand them that? That better? Light turn on. Is it on? It's on. Okay. Perfect. Do you have the, Jonathan, do you have the clicker? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Jonathan Wilcox. I'm the applicant. So our company is Wilcox Communities, and excited to be here tonight. We've been working for over a year on this proposal, and tonight I just simply want to give an overview. I want to leave plenty of time for questions and public comments. So I'm going to go through some slides and hit the high points, but certainly happy to answer whatever questions you all may have. I also do have with me tonight several folks. So Chris Moore is our Chief Development Officer at Wilcox Communities. We have Todd Ferris and Anthony from Ferris Planning and Design. And we also have our civil engineer, Tyler Jackson, with Kinley Horn. So there should be no questions that we can't answer tonight. We've got the whole crew here. Just briefly tell you a little bit about our company. This would be our first proposed project here in Sunbury. Our company is Wilcox Communities. We are a family-owned business. This is our 24th year of being in the real estate development business, and we're owned by myself and my brother and our dad, and based in Worthington, and focus on developing new communities in primarily central Ohio suburbs. Some other projects that we have developed or in the process of developing here in Delaware County. We have a community called Sarah Crossing, which is in Liberty Township near Powell. One called Ryan Creek and Lewis Center that recently opened, and a project called The Residences at Lucy Ridge in the city of Delaware. Also wanted to mention the Cody Coughlin Company. So while we're the applicant, we also are working with Cody, who is proposing to build part of the project that we're going to be talking about tonight. And Cody actually had a successful car racing career, and after that has gotten into the real estate development business. So he has developed two other successful projects, one in Westerville and one in Powell. And he's working with us on this joint proposal. Okay, big picture, just kind of setting the stage a little bit about the property we're talking about, where we are. We have about 60 acres under contract from a single ownership group, and we are the southwest quadrant of the 71 and 3637 interchange. It's actually 3 total parcels, so everything here is outlined in yellow is what we're talking about tonight. To our north is the MTB acreage, which is all also in Sunbury and zoned commercial. To our south is the K&K site.
Yeah, and Jonathan, we want to make sure, Sarah, can you hear Jonathan when he gets away from the microphone? Should I just take it? That'd be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Sorry about that. So to our north is the MTB site. To our south is the K&K site, and that's the site where the new interchange with ODOT and the Sunbury Parkway Road will dissect. And then to our west is the Metro Development Apartment community. As we began, laying out the vision for the site, we started with, of course, your comp plan, and this property sits in the Gateway Mixed Use District. So from the beginning, we really wanted to have a commercial element of the proposal. So you'll see in a second that we have both some multifamily, 2 different types of multifamily as well as commercial. We also needed to deal with the extension of Four Winds Drive. So Four Winds currently dead ends next to the Cracker Barrel and the White Castle on 3637. And the plan is for Four Winds to extend south through the MTB site, as well as through our site, and ultimately connect at that new Sunbury Parkway. And so we had to deal with that. The other thing we wanted to pay a lot of attention to early on was, half a dozen, actually, I think it's 7 adjacent single-family neighbors. So there's 7 property owners that are to our west that are on 3 B's and a K Road. And so as we laid out the site, and I'll show you on the next slide, we were mindful of that, trying to create some buffers and setbacks and things. So our master plan, and if you picture that whole yellow box, so this essentially zoomed up on the site plan. We are proposing 3 different sub areas. So sub area A is this section here, which is essentially the northern 60% of the acreage. We're proposing to build 211 single-story apartment homes. And that's really what our company does. That's our bread and butter. They're communities that are designed and built really for more of an empty nester or senior who's looking for the flexibility of renting rather than owning. So we're proposing 211 units on the north section. Sub area B is the lower right section. That is proposed to be Cody's 240 traditional 3-story apartments. Well, the target market for the Wilcox component would be an empty nester, 50+ age group. The target market for sub area B is more of a traditional apartment renter, area workers for companies and that kind of thing. Last but not least, sub area C are the 2 orange boxes that are on each side of the proposed Four Winds Drive. And I should have said this at the beginning, but this stretch of road that runs north and south is Four Winds. So if you envision Four Winds extending up from Cracker Barrel down through MTB and down through our site, the plan with the county is for it to connect then to Sunbury Parkway, which then heads northwest from there. One thing I did want to mention, so going back to the neighbors, we located our detention basins on the west side of Four Winds, and that was done deliberately to try to create more of a buffer from the backyards of the neighbors on 3 B's and a K before they got to Four Winds and before they got to our development.
I've got a quick question.
Sure.
You had mentioned sub area A and sub area B. What is the remaining?
Yeah, sorry about that. So sub area C are these 2 orange parcels here. and they're planned for commercial development. So it could be retail, commercial office, medical. We're proposing a planned commercial district on those two lots. And the thought being that as the road gets built and the rooftops are there, and the interchange comes, that we think these will be in the future attractive commercial lots. I don't think they will be day one, just be, because until Sunbury Parkway is in, they'll kind of be down at the end of Four Winds. But I think a few years down the road, as the roads get built, they'd be attractive commercial outlets.
Okay, so you're saying all of the above area, that's all sub area A?
So sub area A is essentially from this line north.
Okay,
Any other questions on the site plan before I go to the next slide? So I want to just touch on connectivity and walking paths. This was also something that the city very early on said paid a lot of attention to. There's a lot of infrastructure improvements planned, as I'm sure you all know, with Sunbury Parkway and some multi-use paths. And so not only do we work really hard to create interconnectivity and sidewalks within each of the developments, so that's all the red lines you see on the site plan are all sidewalks. But we're also proposing a 10-foot wide multi-use pedestrian path, which is the blue line along the east side of Four Winds. And the thought being that it would ultimately connect to the north and the south, as well as the paths that'll come along Sunbury Parkway. So just trying to create that interconnectivity across all the sub areas and ultimately give our residents the ability to walk to places.
okay, I've got another question.
Yes.
Your sub A, you had said that part of your development is for empty nesters 55 and over, senior. So no effect on the schools?
So, actually, that's a good segue. Let me show you. So you can have a visual of what I'm talking about. This would be, we're building our 13th such development, single story apartment community right now. It's actually in Plain City. Our experience has been that you get a small number of school-age children. So our average is 10 per 100 units. And so if we extrapolate that out across the 211, you'd be looking at maybe on average total school-age children. We don't go through the red tape of federally designating it age restricted. But much like a lot of the condo developers do, we've designed a community to cater to that renter by choice with the empty nester, the 50+ age group that is looking for no steps, attached two-car garage, no one above or below them. So that's the concept. And this is a picture of one of our newest communities, actually in Middlesbrough. It's called Urban Craftsman, I think is the, finally got that. It took me a while. Usually they're wrong. But one of the exteriors, and then this is our development in Grove City. So same concept, same floor plans, but just kind of different exterior skin on it. And yeah, it's really unique in an apartment community to be able to say that everyone will have their own private attached two-car garage. And we really, we try to give the feel of a condo or a home, but in that flexible format of someone being able to rent. And, you might say, well, why would someone rent if they own? And, a lot of times in our experience, our residents are looking for, well, first of all, they're selling their home for a boatload of money in this market. And then not having to put it all into a new home with a big down payment or a mortgage. Also not having real estate taxes, not having condo fees, so all that comes back on me as the owner to service. So it's just, it's a growing area of the apartment market. And we've done a lot of it and have a lot of success all over Central Ohio. So it's been pretty exciting to be a part of it. So sub area B, so this is a rendering of Cody's architecture, so a little bit more in line with an upscale, new traditional multifamily development. 3-story. Cody's plan is to do all 1 and 2 bedroom units. And his rents would range from, I believe, about $1,400 a month for 1 bedrooms to about $1,750 for 2s. I forgot to mention on the Wilcox component of the ranches, we average about $2,000 a month for 2 bedroom. Another elevation, this is proposed kind of community building for Cody sub area. Kind of a little bit more in that, kind of modern farmhouse kind of look and feel like we're seeing more of in upscale neighborhoods. And then we spoke a little about it earlier, but then that last sub area, the planned commercial district, are 2 future commercial parcels. And in the package, we've, listed some uses that we think could be attracted there. And we also put specific, prohibited uses, marijuana, related businesses, adult entertainment, industrial, those types of things. So, each parcel is about 4 acres. So, it's large enough that it could attract, sizable restaurant, medical office, retail. And we think a few years down the road, as this takes shape, we can attract some of the commercial users for it. And that's kind of the extent of what I prepared, but more than happy to answer any questions you all have.
We'll go to the public comment first, and then we'll come back to city council. Before I do that, Mr. Whitney, do we have the exhibits?
We're ready.
All right, Mr. Whitney, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I have 4 documents marked as exhibits. Exhibit A is a 3-page document, which is the public notice and the list of mailing and proof of mailing to the affected property owners. Exhibit A. Exhibit B is the rezoning application of Woodland Lake Investors LLC. Exhibit C is the development text, the Woodland Lake zoning and development text overview. And exhibit D is the plans and the renderings of the planned development. So with that, I would move to admit exhibits A, B, C, and D into the record.
We accept. Thank you. All right, we'll open it up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak regarding the Woodland Lake rezoning? Seeing none, I'll open it up to city council questions or comments.
I have another comment. Being a 55 and over community, your description in here is very extensive, and I appreciate that. I didn't see any funds marked for extra security. Our police division will have to be out there, I'm sure. But if there's not that many kids out there, I would imagine it would maybe be a calmer area. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I don't know if you have HOA fees, but our city of Sunbury Police Force will have to be out there. And that is kind of a large unit or operation out there.
I mentioned a couple of things just to level set. This is not a 55 and older community. They're targeting it towards the retired person that is selling their home. That's who you typically see right here.
It is,
facilities.
yeah. Our average age is usually around 51. So some of our residents are still working, some are retired, just kind of depending on where they are with their life. But I would say it's more of an age targeted, kind of facilitates a empty nester clientele, if that makes sense. But it's not, senior housing or anything of that nature. We're sort of in between the single family home that you've raised your family in and that later stage. Kind of in between, if that makes sense.
No kids. No kids are with you, right? An empty nester.
Yeah, I'm newly an empty nester myself, and I gotta say it's kind of nice.
And then on the HOA question, these are rentals, not for sale homes.
Yeah, these are rentals. So, so our company actually, Wilcox Communities, we have our own in-house management company. So Wilcox
Right.
employees would be on site handling the leasing, the maintenance. And so would not be a HOA, so to speak, and owner occupied.
Got it. Okay.
I know we talked a little bit in the zoning, and you talked about the walkability and the trails. You want to talk a little bit about the amenities, I think, and some of the things they're gonna be offering in that community?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So each of the residential sub areas will kind of have their own individual set of amenities for the residents, and of course, a walking path and a service everybody. In sub area A, which is the single story product, we will build a clubhouse. So in all of our communities, we'll build a clubhouse. Clubhouse with the center, on bar, community room, lots of resident events. And residents can also rent that out for their own private family events. Additionally.
You just hold it up, thanks, Steve. Yeah. Yeah,
We need a microphone.
That work? Okay.
it's still on.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also, so still talking about sub area A, we do, we're gonna do a pickleball court. So that's been a growing, sport in America and certainly with our clientele. We're gonna do an outdoor patio area. We do a dog park. And we also do community gardens. So a lot of our residents come from homes where they have their own gardens. And so we build a community garden with individual plots, and then residents can reserve their plot and plant their own plants and still do gardening. So it's kind of all that's really designed to create that sense of community. We think if people move in and you take good care of them and they make connections, they'll stay. And we want people to stay long term. We say we want residents for life. And then Cody's plan is also to do a clubhouse. I believe he's planning on also doing pickleball and a swimming pool. So that is not historically done pools. Cody would have them there, and I think for that target market, I think that's kind of expected. Yeah, so that's kind of a big picture of the
To be clear, those communities are separated though. So the pool for the apartment would be just for the residents of the apartments and, okay.
Exactly. Yeah, correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Wilcox? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is a minute approval from November 20th. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
A motion by Mr. Martin,
Second?
second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer.
Yes.
5 yeas, minutes passed.
It is quite chilly in here.
It is. Check on the furnace next. But we've tried, we can't get.
Oh, I
The
believe it.
traditional 1800s feel.
Yeah.
It's a storage.
Yeah, there's a fireplace though somewhere. That's fair. All right, we'll go quick. All right, we are on to the visitors section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak with city council? All right, thank you. Committee reports, Ms. Dreyer.
I do have one, just briefly. At the Delaware County Regional and Planning Commission. Harlem Township is wanting to, they are proposing a mixed use services business residential district. And it will be in the northwest portion of Harlem Township. The majority of this land is primarily agricultural fields, but they will change that into mixed use, which includes businesses and residential. It is at Trenton Road and Miller Paul. They want to butt up to our development and catch some of the people that are working there. Maybe they can stop and have lunch in their area. And some of the what it would include would be single and multifamily homes, assisted living facilities, automobile-oriented uses, wineries, commercial recreation facilities, hotels, motels, restaurants, schools, and small scale alternative energy uses. So that's what's happening in Harlem Township.
Interesting. I'm just curious, did they talk about sewer at all?
Yes, they did. I just did some bullet points. That's what was interesting to me. So,
Whose sewer are they using?
they are going to, it's an overlap. I think they're going to design one. They have a Harlem Township Quick Strategy Guide. And I think they're gonna have their own sewer. For in that district, I believe.
Interesting.
I'll find out.
Any other updates?
I know.
All right, good deal. Mr. Grumman.
Yes, in Mr. Cappell's absence, we had a services committee meeting that conducted, and we had only 2 agenda items, but we had a full meeting. And the first topic was on a utility rate study, talking about wastewater rate study by Baker Tilly. Mr. Rowe from Baker Tilly gave a preliminary report, talked about kind of the health of the wastewater system and where we stand as far as a program. We talked about the current financial health, which FYI, we are in very good standing right now with our utility program. Upcoming projects as far as expansion, cost of expansion, payments for that expansion, rate plan alternatives, which included no rate increase to maybe a rate increase over a period of 5 years. So again, it's very preliminary, just taking a look at the health of the wastewater program and doing some rate comparisons. So as we talk about this further, we'll get a little bit more specific information and start making a determination of what's best for Sunbury and the residents as far as the growth, the health, and the financing of that program. So appreciate Baker Tilly's time and the report they provided, and thanks to staff as well, because I know that was a lot of hard work getting all that information jammed in the report. So thank you. And then secondly, Mrs. Odabrowski and a gentleman by the name of Brian, I don't know Brian's last name, but Davidson, okay, from ODOT, informed us a little bit more about the State Route 37 widening project and American Structure Point Design Services Plan, 2 strategy plan. We focused primarily on the first phase, and I think we have something tonight before us to vote on if we're ready for that. To again start opening up the project for the State Route 37 widening project. So all good things, all stuff moving forward. So thank you for your time with that as well. So
Thank you, Mr. Grumman.
Yeah.
Cooper.
We had a short and sweet parks meeting earlier. Dale or Amber, you're gonna have to help me with the guy's name. I forget his name. We're working with the guy for some new signs at our disc golf course.
Nate Linton.
What was it?
Nate Linton?
Nate Linton.
Nate Linton.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. They'll have some new signs at each of the holes that we're working with. We got some data, but they're gonna synthesize it a little bit for our electrical vehicle charging station. We were just curious how many folks are using it, how much money is coming in by it, but we're gonna get a little bit more on that. And then we just talked about Christmas on the Square. We talked about how nice our tree looks out here with all the tinsel around it, and how this, you may or may not remember last year around the square, the lights, some lights were warm white lights and some were bright white lights. And so we had asked last year, like, hey, can we kind of get that all one way? And so they're all warm lights now. And we just basically talked about how amazing our services department is. Amber said they've never told her no. Everything she's handed to them with like a pleading, like, help, please. They've been happy to do it. Jake's been awesome to work with, and we're just really looking forward to Christmas on the Square.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Martin.
I don't have anything this evening.
All right, thank you. We did have a planning and zoning commission meeting last week. There were a couple items. One, there was a conditional use application that was brought forward from Vernon Street. This was a carryover from the prior month. That was not approved. Unfortunately, the applicant did not show up. And then the second item was a rezoning request for a residential hotel located near the intersection of 3637 Africa Road and the future Sunbury Parkway was also not approved, but will come to city council. Since that meeting, I've had a discussion with the developer and they're looking to take some of the feedback that the Planning and Zoning Commission had provided and make some tweaks to the plan as they bring it forward, but we should see them within the next month. All right, we are on to the police report. Sergeant Holden.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with cruisers, a little cruiser update. The Admin Durango is currently on our lots. I would like to say it does look great. We're currently going to be leasing 2 cruisers from Crown for the next 6 weeks. This is get us through until our new cruisers start coming in. This is due, we have a couple cruisers that are out for main that need pretty significant maintenance and they're scheduled to go to auction. So it was a much better financial decision to go ahead and lease some of these cruisers. I'd like to give an update. MS Consultants came in to meet with staff, do a walkthrough of the building. We're able to point out a few issues with MS Consultants and they're currently working on things to correct some of these problems. The Sunbury Police Department held their first training. I mentioned this in the last council meeting. It was a hit. It was great. The training room was perfect for this training. We had about 12 officers for the intoximeter training that was put on by the health department. That was 3 different jurisdictions. So that went well, very well. I'd like to give an update to the public for the holidays. The police department would like to remind everyone to pay closer attention to their surroundings and belongings for the holiday season, since it's in full swing. Try not to leave your vehicles unlocked when unoccupied. If possible, hide your Bibles in your car if you're not going to remove them. Just a general reminder, try not to leave your purses and wallets and any shopping carts while you're out shopping for the holiday season. You get away from those shopping carts and, anybody can take those. And the biggest one for me is bringing in your Amazon packages as soon as you can. Most people shop on Amazon nowadays. Lord knows my wife does. Try to get those in as soon as possible to deter anybody who want to take those packages off the porches.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Just wanted to mention also Sergeant Holden delivered information on different job descriptions, and one of the ones that we discussed last meeting during the budget and wage cycle review was the intelligence analyst. And if there are any questions related to that or anything else, we've got Sergeant Holden here. Any questions?
I heard a report on the news earlier this week where people are receiving packages they never ordered, but they're addressed to them. And then if they call the company that delivered them to them and ask about it, that opens the door for their personal information to be grabbed away from them by these companies. If some package shows up on my porch like that, can I call you guys and say, hey, you want a package?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We can come look into it for sure. I'm not specifically heard of that situation, but there are a ton of scams out there and they change, I would say, daily.
Yeah.
And they're quite good at them. So if it does feel like it's not right, trust your gut and give us a call. Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll come and look into it for you.
All right, thanks.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sergeant Holden.
Mhm.
All right, we're on to the administrator report. Mr. Hennessy.
All right, just a couple of items. We've had a couple of references to Christmas on the Square. I just want to note the tree lighting. The mayor will oversee the tree lighting at 7 o'clock here. St. Nicholas will be joining him, and we do have a middle school choir to do that as well. So if you'd like to join us for the tree lighting, 7 o'clock right there on the square. I've included in the packet the most recent update for our zoning report. I did reference in the services committee meeting kind of where we are with respect to new zoning certificates for new construction. So again, exceeding last year's level already. So again, another robust year of growth in the city of Sunbury. Leaf pickup, this is the last week for leaf pickup. If you hear of a resident or two that may be a straggler, let us know and we can probably get out to accommodate maybe for one more week on some, special requests. And that's not uncommon. We've done that in the past as well. So, and then the final report I got here is that we have replaced 16 of the 35 trees that were removed over in Sunbury Estates. The other trees, basically what happened is we couldn't get them from the nursery. We couldn't get the variety that the resident had requested. So we'll be preparing a note, letting them know that we are trying to get those in the spring and we'll be planting at that time. So everybody gets a tree, but not everybody has one yet. So, all right, and that's it. Unless anybody's got any questions.
Questions for Mr. Hennessy? All right, Ms. Sotobrowski.
Just two highlights from my report, unless there are questions. The bid opening for the wastewater treatment plant expansion is this Friday at 3 p.m. at the municipal building. Everybody, send out some good vibes for bids and hopefully multiple bids. And then I wanted to highlight the last item on my report, and that was the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor update. CT Consultants and the city met with the county to discuss the timeline for the sanitary sewer extension and the possible road improvements on Cheshire Road, at Domigan Road and Millstone Drive. It sounds like acquiring the easements or right of way for these road improvements, kind of the critical path at this point and the challenge. So that's something that we'll be working on with all the impacted jurisdictions. The preliminary timeline for construction will be starting in 2026 or 2027 for street and sanitary extension. So just some high level items and trying to get this back on the county's table and open up those discussions as they try to coordinate feasibility, costs, and everything with multiple hands in the cookie jar. Any questions?
Any questions? Deal. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is a third reading resolution 2024.19, a resolution approving engineering services with CT Consultants relating to the wastewater treatment plant expansion. It's going to remain tabled. Resolution 2024.26, a resolution naming the Sunbury Business and Technology Park, and I'll make that motion.
Second?
Got a second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer.
Yes.
Yeas, resolution passes.
Great news. Great work, team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, resolution 2024.27, a resolution accepting a proposal from American Structure Point, Inc. for preliminary design services for the city of Sunbury State Route 37 road widening and pedestrian bridge project. I felt good about the presentation that we were provided. This is the second detailed presentation we received on the topic. I'd like to move forward to keep the project on track and start in January. So I'll make that motion. Great. Thank you. And we got a second, Ms. Drake. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas, resolution passes.
All right, we're on the second readings, a resolution 2024.28 to accept a grant from ODNR for improvements at J.R. Smith Park. No first readings. We are on to ordinances. No third readings. We do have a second reading. An ordinance to approve expenses and other expenditures of the city of Sunbury, Delaware County, state of Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. We're looking to approve that on second meeting in December. Correct. Thank you.
But will it need emergency language since we're not passing it till within 30 days of the start of the year?
No, not. Being an appropriations ordinance, they go into effect right away.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, we are on the first readings, ordinance number 2025.02. An ordinance adopting wage and salary structures for the city of Sunbury for fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2025. I didn't read in the detail, but nothing changed from the last iteration we saw. Is that fair, Mr. Anderson?
There were a couple of minor tweaks. I did confirm We are converting the deputy police chief to salary. I said that I wanted to do additional research on that. I've confirmed that.
Thank you.
The policy analyst position has been tweaked a little bit. The range has been tweaked just a little bit. I think, given the skill set that's been defined. So, and then with respect to the wastewater, after an additional conversation with Dale, the titles are changed just a little bit to reflect that, like, for example, the treatment operator, there could be also a specialist in here who doesn't have a class 1 or class 2 certification. So those have been the adjustments, but, again, I don't think anything substantive.
All right, just a first reading. My hands are now numb, but I'm gonna keep going. All right. Next. My mouth's freezing up. I'm just kidding. Okay, jokes aside. Ordinance number 2024.31, an ordinance accepting the application of Woodland Lake Investors LLC to rezone approximately 60.588 plus or minus acres of property owned by Luann Medellin and Diamond Resources Corp. From not zoned to planned residence district and planned commercial district pursuant to the City of Sunbury zoning code, declaring an emergency. No action.
Correct.
I've got ordinance 2024.32, also a first reading. An ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 93.1 plus or minus acres of land in Trenton Township, Delaware County, and owned by OHIO Real Estate Acquisition One LLC, and declaring an emergency.
Maybe if I could add, the applicant unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, but for the benefit of council, what I did want to say is this additional land annexed into the city is basically completes the expected series of annexations that we've been talking about on the east side. It's limited, or there have been limits on how these annexations come to the city based on the amount of acreage. So that's the reason why these final 2 parcels were not a part of a previous annexation. But having said that, 2 other parcels by this same owner have already been annexed into the city and have already been rezoned for limited industrial use. So again, we would anticipate it follows exactly the same path. The county commissioners have approved the request to allow the annexation. That happened back in September of this year. So again, this is just kind of the procedural cleanup to kind of finish out, again, what we expected those annexations to be.
It would be more industrial, light industrial.
Yes, we anticipate exactly that's the zoning that they will pursue.
Great, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Thank you.
Thanks for the explanation. At some point, we will see the applicant or their designee here. Okay, great, thanks. All right, that is all for ordinances. Next item, new and unfinished business. Let's start with the first meeting of 2025 to be moved from January 1st to January 8th. I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second.
We got a second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion passes.
Right, so I should have mentioned as well during the committee meetings, so we did show as the tentative meeting for both parks and services as the January 8th date, so.
Thank you.
That time,
Excellent.
okay.
All right, next item on the agenda,
So
board.
will we be on the same committee starting in the new year? Or does that get reassigned?
We usually do, like, we
Usually
just
do the
carry it
first.
over
We do, yeah.
until the new.
Okay.
So is there no meeting on the 8th or is that?
There will be committee meetings on the 8th, so we'll have parks at 5:30, services at 6:30, and of course, council at 7:30 now. Yeah, so assume you're on your current committees.
Okay.
And at some point there, obviously we'll have a new member. So there'll be some additional duties of the president pro tem. But again, for the purposes of the first meeting, just report as normal to your existing committees.
Excellent. All right, great. All right, next item, board and commissions applications. Scrapmiller, hello.
Yeah, can you pull that? Yeah, or just hold it. Yeah.
Sound dies like.
It
here. I
does.
don't know what
You really have to
happens.
talk into it.
You can hear it great when watching it virtually. Though.
Yes.
Really?
It picks up fine. Yeah.
Good evening, council. So as you all know, we have quite a few vacancies that are going to be coming out on our boards and commissions next year. I just wanted to walk you through our process of our applications and how we're going to fill these. So we posted a call for applications and those residents that are interested on our city website as well as our social medias. In that call, we did receive 10 resumes. They are all included in your packet, along with their cover letters. So all of those are in there for your guys to review, and we can start that tonight. If you also look, I did include a spreadsheet. This lists all of the applications that we received, and I also indicated which board or commission that the applicant said.
Yeah, so that's packet page 153. That's got the, yep. So yeah, make sure everybody's got that.
Thank you for putting this together.
So yeah, if you go through and look at all of them, a line of them is their first choice and 2 second, 3, and so on. We were very fortunate that though folks said I am interested in X committee or commission, we did get quite a few responses as well as me forward wherever you all see fit and need the support. So at this point, we will have all of the applications, all of the cover letters, and we will start our review of those and await what you guys have to say and what do those conference out.
If I could add, so there are, you will note as you look at the packet page 153, there are a couple where there are maybe 2 ones. Doesn't mean that basically what they're saying is they don't have a strong preference over either one of those. They would accept their preference is to be appointed and is to be appointed to one of those 2 boards. So it's, yeah.
Strong preference for one, but I'm fine with any. If you see 111, that means please put me wherever makes sense for council. And then there were some folks that said, here's the commission I'm interested in. Here's my second choice, here's my third. So I tried to keep that as clear as possible for you guys.
Are we sure we explained the responsibility of the Planning and Zoning Commission? Because there are 7 people interested, and I don't know if they understand the pain they're signing up for.
It's possible.
How many seats are open in each?
So I can help. So there are 7 positions on the charter review. There is 1 position on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Gokenauer is the current member. We did reach out to him. He's indicated he's not interested in being reappointed. There's there are 2 expiring terms on the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Grinnell and Mr. Long. Several attempts to reach Mr. Grinnell. We have not heard from him. So, like I said, there have been several attempts to reach him, but just not clear. So he's not on the list because we just have not heard a response from him. And then
He's also missed the window. I mean, to be fair,
absolutely.
There were
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that did submit on time.
Absolutely. Yes, I note that for sure. And then the person on Board of Appeals, we do have 1 expiring term.
Great.
So maybe just kind of as a path forward, if we want to talk about that just a little bit more. So I think as we've indicated, the charter talks about reestablishing the Charter Review Commission and them to begin to convene and do their work beginning in January. So it feels to me like maybe that's where we ought to focus if we were to invite applicants to the next meeting. Perhaps it would be the planning, or it would be the Charter Commission members, an opportunity for council to hear from, an introduction, an interview, whatever we want to call that. What we did last year then is after hearing from them, we did move into executive session to consider the applicants and then came out of executive session and voted. So it's possible if council would like to do that, we could reach out to the Charter Commission applicants and get as many as possible to the next meeting and do that process. Which would still allow time for an appointment to the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Personnel Board of Appeals before they have their next meeting. Even if we were to take those issues up in early January, we would still beat the next meeting for those positions. So I don't think we would be at risk of not making an appointment if that's the way you want to go. Alternatively, we can bring them all in if you want to make your last meeting in December.
I don't think that'll be effective to bring
Yeah.
everybody in. I mean, we've got what, 9
It's a lot.
or 10 people.
There's 7 ones in the charter review and there's 7 seats open. So
But
It
like
feels to me
all
like you
the
should
people that have numbers are interested.
Yeah.
There's 8 people interested and there's
Right.
7 positions.
yeah, but the ones that have a 1, that's their first choice.
Well, they also have other things marked 1, 2. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think we're excluding a person for putting a number 2, are we?
No.
Have you read all the resumes?
Not yet.
Pretty impressive.
I personally would like to meet them.
Yeah.
But if we have
think that
7
would-
seats and 7 ones, I mean, the only other person that put a 1 down is I think there's only one other.
Again, the operating system is based off of their cover letter or in the body of their email. So the person that you're referencing that has a 2, she was one of them in her application, everything. All of her spoke to planning commission. So I put that in as her first, but then she was one of them that said, or anything. So a 2 there does not necessarily mean that she's like, it's planning commission or bust for me. It's very much, she is interested in everything. I just took her cover letter, her resume that she submitted, and that was the first one she referenced. And then we got a follow-up email from her saying, but it's any of them. So I would not count anybody out if there's someone next to her name.
Yeah, because there's somebody else that only showed interest in the charter review and nothing else. I mean, so,
Yeah, 2 of them.
yeah.
And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people interested in planning and planning and zoning too, so
I'm
we
saying,
should like divide, this is gonna be, and quickly.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear what Ms. Dreyer is saying about bringing everybody in. We're talking about interviewing 10 people in open session. Is that what you want to do on the last meeting of?
No. Well, no, but I mean, that's just me. I like to meet people.
I do too. But if you haven't read through the resumes, I think you can pick some of the information up. You can glean some information from the resumes and the level of interest. I would rather schedule another meeting and do this as a special session if like the group insists that we meet with everyone. Then have us on our last council
That's what
meeting
you're saying. Okay.
and add. I mean, that's gonna be a couple hours.
Yeah, that would be lengthy for sure.
So is the staff recommendation, and Mayor, what I'm hearing you say is that we, review the resumes and everyone picks their top X candidates for each open seat, and then bring those folks in, or what's the recommendation, I guess, outside of?
No, well, it sounds like we've got a kind of a couple different concepts here. What
Yeah.
I would say is that, again, the selection has to occur at a public meeting.
Right.
So, it's not like, I don't think we want people kind of informally kind of selecting, whatever. But what I'm saying is that last year what we did is, and we didn't have this kind of level of interest. So the
Right.
great news is we've got a lot more level of interest. We've also got a lot more seats to fill this year as well. So last year we did try to introduce the candidates to the council members for each of the seats that we were trying to fill. It's a much bigger lift this year, and there's no doubt about that. So if it feel like an efficient process is to review the applications, and we feel like we got, good quality submissions. So, you will be able to make some determination of skill set. If you wanted to meet them, again, I'm just offering up, we could try to get as many of those to the next meeting. But that will take time. To talk to every single one of them. The way we did it last year is we brought them into the room one at a time. We asked the others to sit outside. It was definitely more of an interview process last year than maybe is feasible.
In
this year.
years before, when we were looking to appoint, I'm gonna say a council member,
Yeah.
one way that we did it was the mayor, president of council. You guys did some interviews. outside of council.
Yeah, we did.
And you
then
gave a recommendation and then.
I kind of narrowed it down. I think like if we had
Down
6 people
before we
coming
brought
in,
all the
like.
people
narrowed it
here,
down
if
to
that's
3.
something that maybe you and Mr. Grummy, if his schedule would allow, that's just another idea. I mean, in the end, it looks like we have 10 people in 10 positions, right?
No,
No,
11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11 positions.
yeah.
and how many people want to?
There are 10 applicants.
Okay,
But the restrictions generally are, again, you got to be a resident of the city and an elector. So that's kind of the first test, which, yes, exactly. And usually it says you can't serve you can't serve employment with the city, or I think or as an elected official in some other, some board or commission. So so it's possible you can serve on more than one. So I mean, I think we have an adequate number of applications to fill the number of seats that need to be filled, if that's the question.
I looked at it as like omission, charter review commission. One person that is interested is not going to be on the charter commission. Planning commission, 6 people who are interested are not going to be on the planning and zoning commission. Zoning and appeals, 4 people are not going to be on that are interested, and personnel board of appeals, 2 people. But there's enough here for everybody to be involved in
Yeah,
something.
that was my.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
So
so I don't
don't-
think we should overthink this too much.
That's what
I know like
That's,
everybody's gonna play,
yeah,
okay? It's just like, do we need to interview all the people? If planning and zoning commission is the most important one, okay, maybe we bring those people in. But, I don't know.
and we've
Like-
been through this charter process before. And those folks weren't interviewed at all. They went on the ballot and they were all folks that were just happy to help, trying to serve, and it worked out well. 2 of those folks ended up serving on the council later, so these
Yep.
folks are going through a lot of effort here. I think we got a good crowd. We just have to figure out.
Yeah.
I think maybe figure out which one is our best for zoning.
And I feel, I don't know, inviting people in like right around Christmas and then what, they're just omitted because they're traveling or something.
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's highly unlikely that we would get everyone in the
I
room.
totally
So
agree with
that, yeah. So does that create an unfair
But we
situation
didn't,
for,
I feel like last year, somebody might have.
yeah, and I don't,
Zoomed in.
we did have somebody zoom in,
Yeah.
but that also gets a little bit challenging. So, maybe what I'm hearing
I think
is,
to maybe talk to you offline
Yeah.
about this process. I think we can come up with a pretty efficient way to do this. And then if we need to go into executive session in the last meeting of the month to just
we can do that. Yeah, okay,
hash this out.
we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. If the council's okay with that, I'll work with the mayor. We'll refine the process. You've seen the names, so. we
Got a
can
lot
do
of
some
impressive
research.
resumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the resumes were.
Yeah.
We have some awesome folks looking to help serve Sundering.
You gotta know all these people.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you. All right, any other new and unfinished business, Ms. Dreyer?
No, sir.
Nope. Cooper?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the other day, I was on the Sunbury website. When you go to the Sunbury website, at least from a mobile, the first thing that shows up is the old municipal building. The color, like it's a picture, it's an old picture, and it has the sign that says municipal and police department. And I thought that's a little misleading now that they've separated and we have a beautifully new updated, so maybe we should get a new updated picture on our website that reflects the way it looks now.
Nice.
I was thinking a selfie of you.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Cindy said a selfie of me. No, thank you. Mr. Martin, do you have anything? No. All right, we'll see you at Christmas on the Square this Saturday. Thanks for all the work that everybody's put into this. Great job by our services team and
Motion
Amber. I know you're behind all this.
to adjourn.
No motion by Mr. Cooper to adjourn. Second by Mr. Grumman. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mayor.